be shooting a little video for you, tutorial on my famous meatballs. You guys gave me some feedback and said that you want the recipe, and I prefer to do the tutorial over the recipe, just writing it out for you, because honestly I get to eat it tonight, so I'm really excited about this recipe and sharing it with you. They might not be, I don't want to say they're the world's best meatballs, but they're my best meatballs, and I'm sharing the recipe with you. Okay, so let's get to it. First thing we want to go in with is some dry breadcrumbs, and they're just plain breadcrumbs. Now I didn't, they're not fresh, they're just plain breadcrumbs in a can. If you want to, you can obviously like freeze your own bread and then take it out, but I'm just using the can plain breadcrumbs. This is 1/4 cup of dry plain breadcrumbs. And then I have a 1/2 cup of chopped onion. And it's chopped really, really fine, just in case, you know, you're making it for the kids and they're not fond of onions. You can mince it really finely and it's just gonna melt away. So that's 1/2 cup of finely minced onions, just a white onion. And then I also have a 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan Reggiano cheese. That's a mouthful. So I used to buy these years ago, these cans of Kraft Parmesan cheese at the grocery store, and I believe you can still get them, but this is actual Parmigiano Reggiano. So this is my recipe for this. If you buy that Kraft stuff, that's fine, but I'm not sure how it's gonna taste, so this is what I recommend. So this is Parmigiano Reggiano, the real Parmesan cheese, grated, and I'm using a 1/2 cup. So that down inside too. And then you need 1 egg. And the reason I'm doing this way is because I want to get everything mixed up before I put it into the meat. I don't want to be handling the meat too much. So by doing it this way, you're kind of getting all the breadcrumbs and everything mixed up before you add the meat, so you don't overwork it. So just 1 egg. It's like a medium-sized egg. That's gonna go down. Okay. And then I have 3 tablespoons of fresh chopped parsley, flat Italian parsley, and this gives it a nice brightness to the meatballs. So that's 3 tablespoons. And then I have 1 teaspoon of salt, so that's grated, grated salt. So 1 teaspoon like that. And then I also have 1 teaspoon of cracked black pepper, and I like to use 1 teaspoon as well as the 1 teaspoon of salt, because I like the pepper to go through it. It's not that overwhelming, don't worry about that. And then we're gonna go in with some milk. And I learned this at the hotel that I used to work at. So they used to put a little tiny bit of milk, and I've also read online that it's really good for an old Italian meatball recipe, and I've been doing it ever since, and it's really nice. So that's about 4 tablespoons of milk. So get that down, and that's all gonna make your breadcrumbs as well a little bit, well, a lot softer. So you have the egg, which is nice and moist, and then you have the 4 tablespoons of milk, and that's gonna really be nice and get everything soft, including the Parmesan grated cheese. Now we're gonna go on with just a couple more ingredients. I have 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Again, if you want to use just the yellow Frank's mustard or whatever type of mustard that you have, you can. But for this recipe, I'm using 1 teaspoon of Dijon. So I can't say how the other ones are going to make the meatballs turn out if you decide to go with another mustard. And then 1 teaspoon of sriracha. And I like a little bit of heat, or I like a lot of heat. But it's not overly spicy, so it's going to blend into the meat. It's just going to be that little fire kick that you need in the meatballs. It's really good. And then I have 1 teaspoon of barbecue sauce. So pretty easy stuff here that's going in here. 1 teaspoon of sriracha, 1 teaspoon of mustard, 1 teaspoon of barbecue sauce, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper. So yeah, lots of teaspoons going on. And that's it. It seems like a lot, but you know, you want your meatballs to be nice and flavorful. So that is the mixture there to start. And what you want to do is mix everything up. So you got the egg, and you know, you can really work this well if you want. Don't worry too much about overworking this mixture. Just get everything all mixed up. And what I'm going to be using for my meatballs, what I do use is I like to use the grass-fed lean mince. And because I used that little bit of milk with the breadcrumbs and the Parmesan cheese and the egg, the milk is actually going to make it more nice and moist. So don't worry about it being lean. It's really nice and juicy. As well, I also have my oven is preheating at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, so super high, but these meatballs are going to brown up really nicely at that temperature and they won't take long at all. Okay, so now that that's all mixed up, you can see that it's mixed up really well. You didn't want to do it and overwork it too much and then get a big bite of that, you know, a salty bit, too much salt, or you don't want too much pepper in one place. And this is how you achieve that, is by doing this mixture first. Now we're going in with the lean grass-fed beef, and it's 1 pound. So a 1 pound packet is pretty standard in the grocery store. We'll just flip it all around. Just flop that into there. Now this is the messy part. So you're gonna have to get your hands into it. Let me just grab a little cloth here. And all right, so you gotta get your hands into it, unfortunately, but until they come out with a meatball machine that you don't have to do it by hand, you're gonna have to get your hands dirty. So rings are off and sleeves are rolled up. So just mix it all around, but you don't want, like I said, you don't want to overwork it too much. It's a meatball, it's not meatloaf. So I don't want it to be too worked and dense like a pate. It's not supposed to be. So just give it, you know, go through it until you can see that the onions are in there. You can see the flecks of the flat Italian parsley and the breadcrumbs. Everything is mixed up. You know, give it a turn over. Make sure you get down into the bottom here and get those breadcrumbs into the meat mixture, and just keep on going with it until you're done. So until it's mixed in, and that looks pretty good to me. Like I said, I don't want to overwork it. Now I need to get my hands just a tiny bit wiped off to show you how I make my meatballs. I use an ice cream scoop, and I find it really good because it's consistent with the size of my balls. And I like a medium-sized ball. It depends on however you like the size of your meatballs is up to you. I don't judge. I like a medium size. So this is going to achieve it. It's almost like a golf ball. So around the size of a golf ball. Not too big and not too small. So the oven is preheating. There you go. That is your delicious meatball. They go into the oven, so I'm gonna make these and obviously have these later tonight for around 15 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. And for the recipe that I showed you on my Facebook page, it was a meatball and gravy that I used to get in this Fraser can back home in Newfoundland, and I used to love it, but one day I was just craving comfort food, and so I was like, I'm gonna make it myself. And I actually have a cheat here, but you know, when I'm craving comfort food like this, I don't want to be in the kitchen all day. So most of your prep is going to be, as you saw, like chopping the parsley, chopping the onions. Ooh, I forgot to tell you, also garlic. I put in 2 cloves of minced garlic. It was in with my onion and I completely forgot. But yeah, so 2 cloves of minced garlic. Okay, glad I said that. The garlic is important. It gives it nice flavor. So 15 minutes for your meatballs in the oven, and they'll be nice and golden brown. And then a little cheat that I do is I buy my own gravy. So you can buy all kinds of packages of gravy. It wouldn't be that easy to make your own beef gravy from the meatballs. You're not gonna have much drippings. So that's my cheat, you know, just because I'm a chef doesn't mean I have to do everything homemade, and I don't. I buy this. This is a great roast onion gravy. It's really tasty. Once the meatballs are done, just pour it over the top, put it back in the oven and let the gravy warm up, and then serve it with French fries or whatever you choose, like I did for the picture on my Facebook. I also have another onion gravy. It's great. You just add this add some water to it, bring it to a boil, and it thickens up. So, you know, these little cheats are great, but the meatballs are really the star of the show anyway. And they'd also be great, you know, this is great for, this recipe I use for my spaghetti and meatballs. It doesn't just have to be meatballs and gravy. So meatballs with your spaghetti would be lovely in the evening. I use it for this recipe for that. And I also use it sometimes with some canned pineapple, and I'll make like a sweet and sour meatball. I'm sure you could find a recipe for a Swedish meatball gravy, which would be great as well. So I'm gonna get rolling more of these and get my meatballs into the oven. I hope that you enjoyed that little tutorial, and keep the questions coming and requesting these videos, because I really enjoy making the video for you and then eating the results in the evening.